Okay, I want to take a few minutes. I've been able to work with Hayden Johnson on the sale of some property of his, sale of his home in Orem, and I'm grateful I had the opportunity. It's been a while since we first met, and it's been a blessing for me. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you, and I just want to share with everybody I come in contact with some about your business. You have the coolest business. And people need to know about what Hayden does. The business is called Ally Supported Employment. So anyway, I'm going to share this with a lot of people. It is so cool what you're doing. And so I just want you to, I know you have kind of 3 points that you focus on with your business. And so I just want you to share, with anybody that's going to see this about the overview of your business, and then those 3 points of what you're doing to help businesses and to help people get employed who otherwise, without services like you, they wouldn't have the opportunity. Just real quick, I have my father-in-law works for the Deseret Industries, and years ago they would employ people a lot more, with a lot more diverse, difficulties, handicaps, a lot more diverse group of people, and they don't do that as much anymore. So you've come in, you're with your business, and I'm assuming that you've picked up a huge gap here of people that otherwise, as you've said, would be disenfranchised and wouldn't have the opportunity for employment.
For sure. So, like Brian said, we work primarily with, we say, vocationally disenfranchised workers. So anybody with a barrier to employment. So that could be an individual with a disability, a mental health issue, veterans, refugees, anybody who has something that's preventing them to just, go out and get a job on their own. That's where we step in and try to help. So we work with this wide array of different people, and essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a fit with an employer. We want it to be successful for the employer, and we want to be successful for the individual we're working with as well, right? So when we're working with an employer, like Brian said, we focus on 3 major areas. We want to find a way to develop an emotional connection with the employer by hiring that individual. So the example I shared with Brian is Lowe's. So Lowe's, everybody knows about Lowe's hiring veterans and stuff, right? They have programs related to employing veterans. So that's a good thing that they do, but it's also a good marketing strategy too, right? So we want to work with employers to learn how to implement those kind of strategies in their small businesses as well. The other thing we want to do is create a path of least resistance to products or services by utilizing an individual's skills, interests, and abilities. So, for example, when Google acquired YouTube in 2006, what they did was they wanted to tackle, a specific market, and that was the deaf and hard of hearing population. So they started adding captions to all their videos, and what they found was that when they added the captions to their videos, is the majority of people using captions were not just deaf and hard of hearing, but were just an individual in bed with their significant other, and they didn't want to wake them up, so they put on captions, or they're on the train and forgot their headphones, so they throw on captions. So they designed a service for the deaf and hard of hearing population, for a disability population, but it made it a path of least resistance and product differentiation for the entire population at large. So we want to work with employers to design products, services, not only for customers, but for their employees as well, that are going to benefit everybody, but specifically, the populations that they're hiring. Like I said, veterans, refugees, anybody with a barrier to employment. And then the third thing we do is we work with employers to take advantage of different tax credits, state and federal tax credits, work training programs provided by the state funds, all sorts of incentives that employers don't know about. Obviously, it's a great thing to hire people with disabilities and veterans and refugees and somebody with a barrier to employment, but we also want to make it profitable for the employer, because we genuinely believe that hiring an individual with a barrier to employment is going to just drive profitability. So we want to marry the idea that it's a good thing to do, but it's also good for business, right? So we want to make it incentivizing for the taxpayer. We want to make it incentivizing for the individuals we serve, and we want to make it incentivizing for the employer as well. If that kind of sums things up, I guess.
It really does. You're taking, really, as a society, you're taking an opportunity here to not only help these disenfranchised, the people that have that barrier, but also to help a business who wants to stay in business. Business owners, they don't start and take the risk of starting a business and employing people to just shut it down. And so they look at that risk, and you come in as a resource to say, okay, we're going to minimize your risk here and hopefully accentuate your business and not only keep you as an ongoing concern, but even as a greater ongoing concern, and keep employing more people. So really, it just helps the community. And anyway, I've been excited to talk to you about this for a little while. And since you're leaving, we got your home sold, and I love this view. Every time that I came to the home and showed anybody your home, I always said, "Okay, you got to look at this view because it's a great view of Timpanogos here." So we'll miss you in the community here, but you do have a partner that's up here, and he's all over. So if you want any information about what Hayden does, I'm happy to connect you with him. You can look him up. Allies Supported Employment. I know you can make the connection, but he could be a huge resource for you. So, and thanks again for the opportunity to work with you. And you got a great family, beautiful family. So.
For sure. Thanks, Brian.